I want to give credit because I was ecstatic, and I don't even want to hear when this thing gets stayed or overturned or appealed or whatever the process is going to be. I just want to give a shout out right now to the news that is out there. A federal judge has thrown out the federal mask mandate for transportation, ruling that it is unlawful because, and again, this is U.S. District Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell, a Donald Trump appointee. She is a Florida-based federal district court judge. So far, there has not been an official announcement that the Biden administration is going to appeal her ruling. I have got this open right in front of me. I was reading some of her opinion. It is the right decision. Okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am telling you right here and now that in the years ahead, just as, let's say nowadays, if you're around my age, you might watch old 1950s and 1960s movies or stories that are set back then, and you see people smoking on the airplane, and you think to yourself, how in the world was smoking on an airplane ever allowed? So, similarly, your kids or grandkids are going to see movies that are set in this COVID era, and they're going to say to you, wait a minute, Dad, Mom, wait a minute, Grandma and Grandpa, you're telling me that they required you to wear masks on airplanes, but you could pull it down to eat or drink, and you weren't required eventually to wear a mask anywhere else in your whole state except when you walked into an airport or got on an airplane. And by the way, it also applies for trains. And you guys all did that? How dumb were you? And the answer is going to be a lot of us were really, really dumb. And let's just be clear about this. If you are still wearing a mask, and if you think that that mask is protecting you, you are an imbecile who does not understand basic science. However, your being an imbecile does not mean that you can no longer wear a mask. You have the right to continue to wear a mask forever if you would so desire. You can virtue signal to the ends of the earth. You can even combine your mask and turn it into a Ukraine flag. So that not only are you virtue signaling with your mask, you're virtue signaling with your Ukraine mask. How little can you do to actually make a difference in the world? Well, you too can have a Ukraine mask. And you can wear it forever. Or you can switch your mask to whatever the other thing that becomes popular on the internet is whenever that becomes popular. But here's the deal. The rest of us, those of us who actually look at data and understand science, know that there has been no basis for wearing a mask for years now, that it hasn't provided us any protection. The CEOs of all of the airlines have written to the Biden administration saying it makes no sense. The CEOs of American Airlines and Southwest Airlines actually testified under oath that the mask mandate made no sense. They sat down, raised their right hands under oath, and swore before Congress that there was no basis to wearing a mask on an airplane. It doesn't make any sense. You know this. Right now, in the state of Tennessee where I live, you aren't required to wear a mask anywhere in the entire state, except for when you go into an airport. That is the only place that you have to wear a mask. You can sit in crowded concerts indoors. You cannot wear a mask everywhere in the entire state. But when you enter into an airport terminal, they are requiring you to wear a mask. And when you sit down on an airplane, which has the greatest air filtration system anywhere, It's probably the safest place you could be during COVID. You are also required to wear a mask. It makes no sense. And so thank you to this heroic Florida judge. It's probably not a surprise that she is a Trump appointee because she is willing to actually look at the arbitrary and capricious nature of which this mask ruling is occurring. And what she said is, in her ruling, the court concludes the mask mandate exceeds the CDC's statutory authority and violates the procedures required for agency rulemaking under the APA. Accordingly, the court vacates the mandate and remands it to the CDC. And again, I'm almost hesitant to even look at updates to see what the actual ruling is here in terms of the appeal or how quickly the Biden administration is going to apply it. But this is a heroic, unbelievable, fantastic, utterly perfect story that we have been gifted with today. Thank you to the heroic Florida judge. The mask mandate makes no sense. And let me just point this out, by the way. The mask mandate also makes no sense even from the CDC, where they are inconsistently applying logic, right? Because the CDC is simultaneously telling us Title 42 no longer needs to be implemented at the federal border because COVID is no longer a substantial threat. Therefore, we're effectively opening up the southern border and letting anybody who wants to come across the southern border come across. That's effectively what the Biden administration is doing. And while they are simultaneously saying that for non-citizens, they are saying for citizens, meanwhile, you poor peons, everyone who is on an airplane, you have an obligation to continue to wear your mask in an airport and on an airplane. It makes absolutely zero sense. There is no way to justify it. It is pure madness. And I give credit to the Florida judge who has struck down that mask mandate.